same protein value, or don't get the protein value they should be getting from the plants. What are we doing? We're using pesticides. When you spray pesticides on plants, you kill bacteria, including nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Just another reason why you want to eat organic if possible. So we talked a lot about nitrogen in the past as a highly energetic element. It gives protein and amino acids their fundamental characteristics. Protein and the amino acids that make up protein are by far and away the most critical elements in life. They are life. Proteins are, in essence, what life is about. Biologists will tell you that the Earth is around 4 billion years old. The first 500 million years or so, there was nothing living on the planet. There was lots of gas, there were chemicals, there were rocks and minerals. But it wasn't until 3.5 billion years ago that life first appeared, and that life, that living material, first appeared in the form of amino acids. That's how the theory goes anyway. Amino acids were created by the action of nitrogen that was emitted from volcanoes, mixing with other gases, including sulfur and oxygen, in combination with the electricity that came from lightning. Lightning just sparked the gas and the protein and the sulfur and the oxygen in between the activity of the electrical energy from the lightning and the nitrogen and the sulfur and the oxygen. Boom! Protein. Protein's the star of the movie called Biological Life. And nitrogen is the star of protein. Ultimately, then, nitrogen is the key element in all of life. And the proteins that nitrogen forms, or that nitrogen is a component of, is basically just carbon and oxygen with a little piece of nitrogen, almost like an activating piece of nitrogen to turn or spark that carbon and oxygen into life. Carbon and oxygen, and hydrogen, I should say. Carbon and oxygen and hydrogen make up carbohydrates. And then you put a little piece of nitrogen in that carbohydrate, gets turned, boom, into life, into protein. A carbohydrate is just sort of an energy, a source of energy, has a little bit of a structural element to it, but basically carbohydrates are just a source of energy. But you stick a little piece of nitrogen on there and you get this solid material that you can build a body out of. Proteins have a solidity, and they compose all the solid matter of the body, the vast majority of the solid matter of the body, and that's over 70%. Over 70% of the dry weight of the body is protein. That's a lot. That makes protein pretty darn important. Protein is the Brad Pitt of the movie called Life. It's the star of the movie called Life, and all the other components, the carbohydrate components, the fat components, the vitamins, minerals, etc., those are like the supporting players. Not that they're not important, but they're not the star. They're the supporting actors. They support the activity of the protein. Now, the gas called nitric oxide has everything that a protein has except for carbon and hydrogen. Of the elements that form protein, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, it's the carbon that gives proteins their solidity. And if nitrogen is combined with oxygen and there's no carbon present, instead of a solid protein, you get a gas, and that gas is nitric oxide. And it has this vapor nature, this mist nature, as opposed to the solid carbon-based substance that protein is. And it's this gas nature that gives nitric oxide its fascinating properties. Drug companies love nitric oxide. As I said, it's been exploited for many years in the heart business since the beginning of the modern age of pharmacy, which can be traced back to maybe 1850 or 1860. Since the beginnings, nitric oxide has been exploited in the heart business and the cardiovascular business via nitric oxide boosting inhalers or drugs. Nitroglycerin is a classic example of this. Nitric oxide has been a mainstay of cardiovascular medicine since drugs began, since the modern age of drugs began. Nitroglycerin was basically the first heart drug, and nitroglycerin is still used today to open up blood vessels to treat angina. Angina is this unbelievably painful, miserable condition where oxygen delivery to the heart becomes impaired. Nitroglycerin, via its effects on nitric oxide, almost immediately causes the blood vessels around the heart to open up, feeding the heart and relieving angina pain almost instantly. People with angina always carry around a little nitroglycerin with them, put under their tongue to alleviate the incredibly painful effects of angina. In addition to nitroglycerin, there's other nitric oxide-inducing drugs. They call them nitrates. These are involved in keeping the heart beating correctly in the case of arrhythmias. Perhaps the most famous of the nitrate drugs, or nitric oxide boosting drugs, is Viagra, and also to a certain extent Levitra and Cialis, although Viagra is the one that's been the most studied. Viagra uses nitric oxide boosting to open up and improve blood flow for sexual performance. And one of the major contraindications for Viagra and these other kinds of drugs, Cialis and Levitra, is heart disease. If you have heart disease, they tell you you're not supposed to use these types of drugs because of their effect on nitric oxide. One of the side effects of these kinds of drugs is headaches and flushing, and all this is related to the fact that nitric oxide opens up blood vessels so dramatically. Of course, nitric oxide's ability to open up blood vessels is important for better sex, but that same vasodilation, that same opening up of blood vessels, increasing of blood flow, if you will, that same vasodilation can cause headaches and flushing and a drop in blood pressure that can affect the heart. When the blood vessels open up, the pressure drops, and that can have a negative effect on the heart, and that's why they tell you not to use Viagra if you have heart disease. This blood vessel opening effect, this vasodilation effect, is actually being explored by drug companies for use in heart disease as a benefit for treating heart disease. In an article that was published in the Huffington Post last October, it was reported that Italian researchers found that Viagra, the active ingredient, sildenafil it's called, was a, quote, effective and safe treatment for some, unquote, for some patients who had heart disease. The researchers wrote in their findings that was published in this journal called BMC Medicine, they wrote that Viagra's effects could improve heart performance without affecting overall systemic blood pressure. And they also found that in the case of enlarged hearts, Viagra could slow down and even stop the increase in the size and the changes in the shape of the heart. Now, whether or not forcing the heart not to enlarge itself, if it needs to enlarge itself, forcing it to comply with a pharmacological poison, whether or not that's a good idea, is up for debate, but the fact remains this is one of the effects of the drugs. And what's more, drug companies are now exploring new ways to take advantage or exploit the powers of nitric oxide. They're sticking nitric oxide stimulators onto old drugs, some cases really old drugs like aspirin. One of the toxic effects, and it's a very serious toxic effect of aspirin, is the fact that it can cause gastric bleeding. The gastric bleeding effects can be so significant that you can die, and death from gastric bleeding is really one of the more important causes of death. Deaths from gastric bleeding associated with aspirin is one of the more important side effects or toxicities associated with aspirin, and it's a leading cause of death. So it's not just an insignificant minor type of effect. It really limits how aspirin can be used, how much aspirin can be used. And now drug companies are exploring a really interesting and fascinating strategy for combining nitric oxide or nitric oxide boosting with aspirin. I'll tell you what I mean on our next Bright Side episode as we continue talking about nitric oxide and the gas hormones. We're coming back with more good health information as well as your phone calls. 844-236-6010 is our number on the Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back after this.
The CDC just announced flu vaccines may have the wrong strain of flu virus. You may not be protected. Whatever your lifestyle, your immune system is critical, and Immudyne provides your immune support. Doctor recommended, stimulant-free, and not found in pharmacies. Go to Immudyne.com to find out more or to place an order, or call 866-257-8668. That's IMMUDYNE.com or 866-257-8668. Remember, Immudyne is key support for your immune system.
Managing your business and customers isn't easy, huh? SnapForce customer relationship software may be just what you need. SnapForce CRM is a software solution that helps you manage everything important about your customers, from sales to marketing to service and support. All of your customer information is right there at your fingertips for easy access. It's time to take control of your business in a snap. Get your free trial at snapforce.com. That's SNAPFORCE.com. Snapforce.com.
Do you have relatives and friends that are convinced there is no need ever to prepare for any kind of emergency? Are these also folks you buy Christmas presents for? At 30dayfoodsupply.com, we can solve both of these problems at the same time. Go to 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. We can ship your Christmas presents directly to them. Choose from our original $99 30-day food supply, our long-term storage vegan burger mixes, and other oatmeal, soups, porridges, beans, and granolas for everyday use. All products are are non-GMO, MSG-free, and vegetarian. Most are gluten, soy, and nut-free. Call 541-229-0010 today. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low, cutting out the middleman by buying directly from their producers in Oregon. Remember, only $10 ships your entire order to the lower 48. Visit the website 30dayfoodsupply.com. Call 541-229-0010. 30dayfoodsupply.com. 541-229-0010.
The Genesis Communications Network is one of America's premier broadcasters of captivating talk radio. We thank you for listening. Now, just imagine, there are thousands of people who are just as passionate about radio as you are. But what you may not realize is how easy and affordable it is to advertise with us. Radio commercials for your business could be heard on hundreds of radio stations across the U.S. every day. We can help you by creating an effective radio advertising campaign for your company. From script writing to producing your commercial, just like the one you're listening to right now. No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@gcnlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's ancientdefense.com.
We live in a complicated society. Stressful issues are always popping up. Have you ever been treated unfairly by someone? Have you ever been overcharged for a repair? Have you ever signed a contract or a document worried about identity theft? How many times have you been in those unique situations where you just wanted to call an attorney to find out if you're right or wrong, or what your legal rights are? But every time you think about calling an attorney, what do you think about first? That's right. Who do you call, and how much will it cost? Our friends at Legal Shield have found a solution. With a nationwide network of 6,900 attorneys who average 19 years of experience, Legal Shield's law firms take over 40,000 calls per week helping their members. For less than $20 per month, you can have access to Legal Shield on everything from the trivial to the traumatic. Let Legal Shield stand up for your rights at lsprotection.com. That's lsprotection.com. Or call 855-340-SAVE, 855-340-7283.
Results will vary from case to case.
Wishing you the brightest of Christmas seasons and best wishes for the new year from the Genesis Communications Network, GCN.
Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so from the journal Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. It turns out that the influenza, the flu virus, doesn't really work. Surprise, surprise. The flu has mutated, and the flu vaccine doesn't work. At least this recent edition of the flu vaccine, the 2014 flu vaccine. Quote, this is from Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. Quote, the current vaccine offers little protection against more than half of influenza viruses. And this comes on top of a CNN article. Where's this CNN article? Flu shots less effective this year because the current virus has mutated. Apparently, the flu vaccine that you take, or the flu vaccine that you buy, or the flu vaccine that's given you, doesn't cover the flu. Now, we've talked about this on the bright side. I've talked about it in my presentations for many years. The flu vaccine is based on the flu they think, the flu virus that they think will be present. It's a guess, and it often doesn't work. And thus, according to CNN anyway, scientists are concerned about what they're seeing so far. This flu season, the director of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention says this year's flu vaccine is not as effective because the current strain of the virus has mutated. No surprise there. Let's see, more I told you so. Sugar, not salt, may be at fault for hypertension. By the way, yesterday I did we